Hey there everyone, welcome back to, well no, not welcome back. Welcome to a new series that isn't a video benchmark series. And it's not City Skylines, it's Kerbal's Space Program. Wow, who knew the guy who played City Skylines also plays Kerbal's Space Program. We're doing Realism Overhaul because the main game is way too boring now. I've played it for like 8 years, it's fine. Right now we're gonna completely skip tradition and not do the ROB because I hate this phase of the space program. It's a waste of time in my opinion, but we must do it for career reasons. So we are directly skipping to the RD-103. Well, no, not the RD-100, because the RD-103 is the upgrade for this one. And this, you will see, is way too small for the engine, so we're gonna simulate this. It's gonna blow up. We're gonna keep trying making small changes. It's still gonna blow up, so we're gonna make it bigger so the thrust to weight ratio is way lower, so max Q is less, and then it won't blow up. And you will see that happen over the course of the next 2 minutes, after which we will actually build it and launch it. This whole thing is gonna go very fast. I don't plan on staying in this phase, just sounding rockets for too long. We're gonna reach orbit before the Russians. No, we reached orbit, yeah, no, like a couple months before the Russians did in real life. Or maybe it was right when in this, yeah, no, it was in December of 1957. Ours was also in December of 1950. So basically the same thing. There you can see the failure in the simulation. Thank God for crash. What's interesting is I don't think I used, oh no, I did. Okay, so what I was gonna say, I don't think I used the smart ASS properly, but I did. It's just that, you know, the thrust to weight ratio was way too high. Luckily I recognized that, so I wasn't stuck here for too long. This rocket is basically going to be our workhorse for the first 2 episodes. It gets everything done. I literally haven't had to build anything else. It became very cheap. I recommend everyone go down the RD-100 path and not the ROB. It's just that this can initially be a bit expensive, so I'm not sure if this is possible in the harder difficulties. Yeah, so I didn't put the fins here, so the center of aerodynamic lift was way ahead of the center of mass, so it flips over as expected. The gimbal from the rocket isn't powerful enough to counteract that for now. We will have future rockets where we won't need fins. That's actually coming very soon. Now this one works perfectly, so we tool it. Tooling is very important. Tooling allows us, so you pay a bit upfront, and that tools all the parts, so that significantly reduces the build time and the build cost, as you will see. And that basically gets us the whole way through. So we're going to use this design. As you can see, that was me tooling it. Our build time went down from 554 days to 174 days. Okay, so now that we're done, I'll see you at the launch site. Okay, so welcome back. Right now I'm gonna mess around with camera tools. I could not get it to work properly. That's why we don't have cinematics for this one. We will get cinematics on our first lunar launch, which is a while away from now. So we're gonna have to wait for that. This launch was rather uneventful overall, and basically was a success. The RD-100 is quite reliable as compared to the ROB, so no problems with test flight here. We will be doing science. So the way science works in Realism Overhaul is it collects over time, and it saves the data over launches. So you don't need to do a launch that lasts 4 minutes in a certain part of the atmosphere. You can do a launch that lasts like 30 seconds every launch, and you launch them 4 times to get to the 2 minutes to get all the signs you can possibly get. I know people will complain. I know the sun's not actually yellow, it's white. I will get a lens flare to fix that, but for now this is just a temporary, think of it as a temporary placeholder. And these are my guerrilla cinematics. Absolutely dismal. We reached a very respectable apoapsis for our first launch. We crossed the Kármán line, not even a challenge. Massive success. We complete like 18 contracts from this one mission, so that's huge. And as you can see there, you could see the time limits for the science experiments. So anyone's curious, the reason why we are having rotation going on while doing time warp is because I have Principe installed. So this uses not on rails Keplerian like normal curl space program. It uses Newtonian n-body physics. So it keeps the rotation and any sort of inertial movement that occurred in a vacuum. It'll sort of keep that going. And from this part, atmospheric re-entry, quite boring. We could just fast forward through all of this. Quite dull. And now we're unlocking all the signs. Basically, we're unlocking everything we can get, but with a bias for liquid fuel engines and for materials. So the way it's structured, you have these main nodes, which unlocks the sub nodes with all the parts that you actually need. So right now, I'm pretty sure we accepted a contract with a sounding payload, and that's what we're retrofitting onto the windbreaker rocket. I'm horrible at naming, so it would be nice if people in the comments would help out with that. Potential names. Not sure why I had to pay so much. Oh, because of the service module tank. And yet again, we're testing it out in crash. Easily achieves the contract, no problem whatsoever. I have slowly realized that this is not crash. We skipped forward. So a lot of these launches are mundane. They're the same thing. So we will do quite a lot of skipping around. Unlocking more science. Basically, by the end of the episode, we have 1956 to 1957 orbital rocketry unlocked. Or not the end of this episode, the end of next episode. Now we're completing the biological sample contract. So you basically take the biological sample capsule to above 140 meters and then you recover it. Normally you do the science of this orbitally, like when you get to orbit, but I decide that over the 5 or 6 contracts that I'm allowed to do, I'll just finish out the science anyway, because this spacecraft is capable of staying in space for a while. Now it's crash. So the reason why it failed there was simply because of a thrust to weight ratio that was too high, or maybe I just engaged the separation mechanism anyway because I didn't really change anything in the rocket. We had performance loss on the RD-100, but like I said, this vehicle is way too good anyway, so it's not really a problem for us. And we have successful recovery. More science. A lot of these missions, like this one for example, they're all just repeats, so we'll go through them real fast. The only one that isn't going to be a repeat after this is the early film television camera one. And as you can see, we unlocked 1956 to 1957 orbital rocketry right there. Another one of the same missions. This is the 5th launch of Windbreaker, I think the 3rd launch for the biological sample contract. And I also took a side of sounding payload with that for some extra cash. Recovery for this one was harder than usual because we went to a really high apoapsis. The reason I was able to do this was because we unlocked, I think we unlocked aluminium tanks, so that greatly reduced the dry mass, giving us more delta V. Another happy landing. Here I decide not to unlock much because I'm now saving science for 1958 orbital rocketry, although we will soon find out that is inconsequential. So this is the early television film camera. These ones are unique in the sense they need to go down range. This one was a failure. We pitched over too hard. Now the reason why the last one and this one is called Windbreaker 6, simply because I forgot to name this Windbreaker 7. As you can see, easily reaches 200 kilometers downrange, no problem whatsoever. Recovery was uncertain. Luckily, we could recover. This was surprisingly a lifting body, so we did coast for a little while. Managed to recover the whole thing, so that was huge cost savings for this one. Now we unlock aluminium tanks and we change our engine, we upgrade our engine. This will allow us to reach 400 kilometers downrange, which is the next milestone for the early television camera. This upgraded craft, we're gonna call it Cloudpiercer 1 instead of Windbreaker because I feel like there's enough upgrades for this to be its whole new thing. Just testing it out now. It works out well, so we do launch it, and I'm pretty sure that's the last launch. Yeah, there you go. 400 kilometers downrange, and I think we have a successful recovery. Yep. In hindsight, I think I made it 2 parachutes. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I did. No, it's still 3 parachutes. Well, 3 seem overkill since we're ditching the rest of the craft anyway. And everything performs normally. We gather all our science. So these are my recovery attempts. You see, look, it survived during the crash simulation, so in my head it would survive in real life as well, and that's how I justify those reloads. Now the last launch, we're gonna end it off with another cloud piercer. No, this is the windbreaker, technically windbreaker 8, but I named it windbreaker 7. This finishes off our no, so our biological sample contract already finished. This is our advanced biological sample contract. There you go. Thanks for watching.